evening, Super Leaguers. It is Sunday night, it's 9 p.m, and it is time to delve into the latest action from everyone's favourite nostalgic fantasy football game. But you are not here for me this evening, I know that. You are here for my co-commentator, who I'm delighted to welcome with great esteem from the league leaders. Evening, Jens.
Good evening, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm fine. I've brought a special guest just for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, everyone appreciates a bit of cat content. How's things, mate? You must be loving life at the top of the table.
Yeah, it's Super League-wise, it's been going really well.
Yep.
In this, not much spare time these days. A lot of things going on, so it's nice. The times I get to watch the whole shows, it's nice to just dive into the alternative reality of Super League.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. We're at I say at the end, we're not really at the end because it was open as long as people have them available. But as is often the way, people hear that they get transfers available and they just use them up really quickly. So have you enjoyed the latest round of negotiations and dealings with your counterparts at the other clubs?
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to. I did a double deal with Steve, and that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Not many people have asked me about players, and I haven't asked
Surprises
around much
me.
either. Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're doing well, you don't want to disturb the squad. You don't want to change too much on something that clearly works. So for me, it was just about a couple of just trying to strengthen up the squad in behind the 11, whilst others might have been more eager to change things up in the 11.
Well, in the history books, most boring league or most boring round of Super League ever, you got a 0-0 with Sancte. How do you reflect on that game?
I was very pleased with the point. I think Sancte looked, from the stats, the game looked very even. But for me, it was a lot of white text, and it's always, when there's a few games since you've lost, it always feels like there's something coming. So to get a point away from Sancte and to get a point away in the Super League is always a decent result, anyways.
Yeah, you're second in the current form table in terms of games without losing. Only Sloths who have been on that ridiculous run since Alf came in and changed the formation. But what I would like to ask you about is something we were discussing on the latest episode of Late Limbs, and that is when everyone's kind of, well, not everyone, but when people seem to think that there's a home dominance in the Super League. How do you maintain an unbeaten in 8, scoring 13 and conceding just 4 away from home?
It's a good question. Probably it's just the game engine being nice to me. But yeah, I think at the start of the season, before we started the transfer negotiations and everything, because of my season being so bad, last time out, I just decided to try and build a tactic that could be solid, and that could work well against teams that play 3 DMCs, because that was clear that a lot of teams were gonna join the Haggis formation, and so far it's just worked well. I don't think I've changed the tactic file once this season, and I swap a player in and out sometimes, but mainly it's the same 11 and the same tactic that goes out, and when that works, there's no need to change it, really.
Okay, well, I'm informed that Smuts is actually still awake, which is a novelty these days. And as he starts his new job tomorrow, he would like an early night if possible. So I'm happy enough with you on comms to go Stackington versus Foss Road first. They have brought in Gerard. He's the only addition in the latest round of transfers. Romagnoli came in as well as the out of league. He's dropped to the bench for this game. Gerardin is the only change from the win over East Coast last time out. There's been a lot of conversation about his claims last year about this being a Season 2 team. What do you make of this Foss Road team?
I think I think maybe the difference in them and ourselves this season is that they, just as us, have 2 or 3 players in there that you just know are going to perform really, really well. Um, Especially Vieira and Roberto, but also Emerton. So really good DM line. I think the main difference is what you put next to those players in the 11.
Yep.
I think there's too many names in there for me that just too unstable in their performances. You just don't know what you're going to get with Van der Vaart and Maresca and Recoba.
Yep.
So, like the balance of the team is probably a little bit off. There's some really good potential there with those DMs and also Hoffland at the back. Kluivert can score goals, but I just think he's struggling to find the right players to complete that 11.
Okay. Now, let me think about this. He doesn't want either of these numbers here, so I'm going to go safe and just pick 42 for Jared. There we go. As for Stackington, they've been busy as always. They've done a few deals. Oh, I apparently wanted 14. Sorry, Smuts. All the new players come in. Given, Emerson, Takanadi, Rui Costa all start in a slightly altered formation. The DM line, I've been very vocally critical in the last couple of game weeks. It looks slightly better.
Yeah. Gennard is decent. Emerson can probably do a job. I feel a little bit for him because he's been trying different things, and for me at the start of the season he was playing Dyer in midfield. Is when you have one of the best right wing backs, you play him at right wing back, but he's doing that now and he's playing conventional Super League tactics. So it's probably just a matter of just be patient and just take the losses and hope that with a couple of transfers and I mean a little bit of a some fresh players, then it can suddenly turn around, which it can in the Super League. It's just really, really hard when you go through those rough patches.
Smuts saying it looks really strong, that. I don't believe Ross has asked for any particular numbers, so I'll just auto them. Someone did ask me for numbers. I'll remember that when it gets to it, I'm sure. First game of the night then. We've got a kit clash. Can I ask you for a score prediction, please?
I'm going to go score draw here, 1-1, I think.
Score draw 1-1. Duggan's saying that the Stackington 11 now looks head and shoulders above Foss Roads. It's Foss Road with the first opportunity, and they keep coming forward in the opening exchanges, looking for an early goal. But that is huge. Captain Patrick Vieira off injured after just 11 minutes. Even Mr. Savage, who's joined in. Obviously that's massive in the context of this game, but if it's a long injury, it's also massive for the second half of the season, isn't it?
Well, that's what I said. Is him and Roberto. If you can't play them, then it doesn't look really strong, does it? I think Calguera for this game is a decent enough replacement. He can do a job there, but he's going to be hoping that's not a long-term injury for sure.
No, definitely. The other option, of course, was to drop either Maresca or Gerard back and bring Romagnoli back into the team. But he is going, as you suggested, bringing on Helguera, which I believe to be the correct choice in this instance. But again, as you were saying, automatically looks less strong again after just 10 minutes. And another injury, and this time it's for the goalkeeper. Fossa falling apart. I don't need to wait for that one. Nigmatulin coming straight back on. They're not going to get much chance to react to what's happening in the game if the players can't last the minutes, are they, Jens?
Oh, but once again, it's a decent replacement, Nigmatulin. Don't think he's any worse than Peruzzi, to be honest.
And stacking to take the lead through Morientes. Smuz saying in the chat, should have gone to bed. Kluivert levels things up on 27 minutes. Been decent this first half, to be fair. Already 100% better than anything me and Smuts put together on Thursday night. We get to half time, and Foss they've had plenty of adversity, 2 injuries, and come from behind.
And they've been a better team by the looks of it.
No, absolutely. Duggan said, Christ, given having a blinder already as well, doesn't help. And Savage saying, undervalued is given. Yeah, I agree. A slight colour clash in the shirts. I'm not sure why the game hasn't just put one of them in a different strip for this one. Looking at the Stackington ratings, Gibbons doing all right on his debut. Looking at some of the other new players, Emerson doing reasonably well. Takinardi is one of the more standout players. Rui Costa having a little bit of an impact as well. So promising signs for Ross.
Yeah, and he's playing the one striker he's got that's actually got any Super League pedigree at all. Morientes, he has to play every game, I think, because he can score goals in the Super League. Um, so it's a decent performance. They need to get something out from this. Home to
Yeah,
Foss
this
Road
is
without Vieira.
This
Yeah.
is a big opportunity for them, definitely. Looking at the patched up away side, Zé Roberto and Kluivert trying to kind of lead by example. You pick them out alongside Vieira, who's no longer on the pitch. It's not quite good enough yet, and Smuts, who's also going as is, with only one sub available for the rest of the game, will be looking for a bit more from his side here.
It's got two midfielders with 6 passes in between them. So they're playing it out wide, probably.
They still seem to be the team on the attack as they were in the first half, nearly taking the lead there. And again, wasting chances. Could they come to rue these missed opportunities in the end? As the game is brought to a pause on 62, it looks like the away side are the team pressing the advantage, but they just cannot score.
No, and I think if I'm Ross here, I'm doing something because the game looks to be very, very Foss dominated.
Kesman and Kili Gonzalez on the bench as attacking options. Where do you see the changes?
Kili Gonzalez can play at wing. He played for wing back for you, didn't he?
He did. Played very well there as well.
Yeah.
Unlikely that he could also replace Rayed potentially, although unlikely. He is rating a 6, however.
Yes, I saw Cole was a 6, so yeah, Rayed for Kili. That's also a decent shot.
That is the only alteration for Stackington. As for Foss, let's see what's going on over there. Rated slightly improving. Patrick Kluivert is doing that job that I said that Smuts will be looking for a bit more. Got Emerton moving up in the ratings to an 8. A few of the 6s turning into 7s now. You can see that they are playing with that advantage. Clearly, losing the likes of Vieira and Peruzzi hasn't upset their flow too much.
No, they've been the better side, but as you say, they need to put their chances away. And if Kluivert isn't gonna score anymore, then who's gonna do it? Santa Cruz, maybe.
Possibly.
And Somareca shouldn't play in the Super League.
Is that 3-man central midfield too defensive?
It's not good enough. It's the problem for me. Maresca is it's a joke. It's just not good enough.
Just not.
He's going to score now. I'm sure of it.
Romagnoli is coming on, so no Santa Cruz. He's playing in the AM role, with Rakoba being withdrawn. Let's resume this one then. Half an hour still to play, and very much in the balance. Mendieta goes into the book, and there's a red card. Kevin Hoffman's been sent off. It has been an absolute stinker of a night for Foss Road. I'm presuming Smuts is likely to go one at the back here, although he could drop Helguera and then either Maresca or Gerard to try and keep it balanced.
If it was me, I don't know where Foss is on the. Do they need the 3 points, or is a point good enough?
Well, going into it, yeah, because we haven't done anything, that's fine. So going into it, they're in 8th, just a point behind Sancte.
If I'm Smuts, I'm dropping Helguera and Gerard back and try and get the point. A point away from home is decent enough. They're not gonna run away from you, those teams ahead.
So we'll get some comments in. We got 666 shout. Mike saying, "What on earth have you done this week to anger the gods?" And Duggan saying, "In 15 seasons, this is probably the most anyone has been fucked by the game engine in a single game." Do you have any sympathy for Smuts in this situation?
Oh, you should have gone to bed, mate. Stick to Pokemon Go.
Yes, he was very excited the other night that you added him as a friend on Pokemon Go.
Yeah, we're best friends now. We're building a Super League group in Pokemon Go community with Smuts. Wooder is there. Duggan was there. This let us all down. But yeah, there's a little Pokemon group going.
Just a reminder from Ross. Of course, he could, with it being a red card, he also has the opportunity to alter things should he want to. We're just waiting for Smuts' response first as the team with the red card, and here is that response. So we are going Helguera back, Gerard and Maresca both back, Romagnoli back, and arrows on both MCs. So he is shutting up shop.
Yeah, it looks. Look, I'd probably do the same thing, to be honest. The game engine also has a way of sometimes if you get a red card and you do the right tactical changes, it has a way of giving you a goal sometimes.
As to Stackington, do you think they'll react to that?
No, I don't think so. Maybe a couple of arrows on those.
I was going to say a couple of arrows, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Not anything drastic, I think.
While we wait for confirmation of Stackington, just a little shout out. Say that if you missed the post earlier, the latest episode of Late Limbs is now available on our YouTube channel and of course on Spotify. Although there are many times where I had to tell Smuts that he can't just keep leaving the recording in silence, because if people aren't watching it, it won't make any sense. He's decided to advertise DMs are open for Pokemon Go requests and wants to know, how did you get Mewtwo?
Can I ask if you want tips on how to level up quickly in Pokemon Go? I'm not the one to ask. You have to ask Wooder or Duggan. They're whip-wobbing their way through the Pokemon Go.
They're whip-wobbing Pokemon Go.
They are. Wooder is a proper cheat. just like he was in the Super League.
Absolute scenes. Surely there it is. Rui Costa. And we get to full-time. Foss Road have been completely screwed over in this one. But Rui Costa gets the win for 11-man Stackington. And it makes a change for Stackington to actually play against 10 men.
Yeah, and you have to, you have to feel for Smuts there, but it's also well done to Stackington because it's been a long time coming.
It absolutely has.
And it looks like a game that could have gone either way. So yeah, you'll be disappointed when your best player gets injured, you get a sending off, and you lose the game.
And you lose your goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Morientes gets man of the match for Stackington. But look at that. Look at the performances. I mean, Shea Given on debut getting a 9. You've got Mendieta as captain getting a 9. Debut goal for Rui Costa. I mean, this as well as it could have possibly gone for Stackington, isn't it, that?
Yeah, and that Shea Given 9 that's massive, isn't it? Get him in good form from the up after all the goalkeeper emergencies he's had this season. He's going to be happy to see that.
Yeah, and there's the reaction there. Super Shea, says Ross. Let's go over to Foss Road then. And it doesn't make great viewing. Steven Gerrard, decent debut for him. Good rating there. Lots and lots of 7s in amongst all that as well. Sometimes you just have to say it's not your night, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. Roberto's been involved quite a lot, but yeah, no, it's just the injuries and the red card screwed them over tonight.
Yeah, 100%.
Just take it and move on.
but huge 3 points at the bottom of the table for Stackington. Next, we're going to Northern Burn versus Fulchester. Northern Burn in the rare position, we don't often see this in the Super League, of having 4 goalkeepers in their 24. New signing Iker Casillas doesn't even make the bench, though, as they go unchanged from last time out.
Yeah, the Ian Edwards way. So he knows his best. He knows his best 11, and he plays it when he can.
He certainly does. He certainly does. That combination of potentially Buffon and Casillas as 1 and 2 goalkeeper, it's just further enhancing the depth. And that's been a kind of criticism of Byrne in the last few years, that Ian tends to have his strong first 11 and it's not necessarily as good, but he really is building that strong squad now, isn't he?
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if he, when or not if, but when he makes the playoffs, is he going to play Casillas with a reputation of being a big game goalkeeper and all that? Is that the reason why he signed him, or is it just because he wants him as a backup?
Possibly. Fulchester alter their tactic back to the more familiar 2 attack midfielders behind 1 striker. Anelka makes his debut. Damien Duff is one of 2 players called up from the reserves for this game. Romario also called up, not included in the matchday squad. Vogel makes his debut, and Lucio is back as well. It is quite a strong-looking team, this from Fulchester, isn't it?
It looks like a Mac kind of team. Some big names, wingers. Beckham is, I saw he was under criticism, but when I watch Fulchester, it's usually him that creates.
Yep.
I think maybe his main issue has been not scoring enough goals or not having a striker that gets him enough goals. Crespo didn't do it. Constantino didn't do it. So Anelka could be a shrewd signing. I think if he gets him firing, then that's if you have a striker that scores goals, you're gonna be fine. And Vogel is decent as well. I'm not sold on Richie Wellens. I don't think he's good enough either. But I think he's. And I look at that team and I think it looks decent, and I think Macca likes it as well, because it's a lot of like Macca type of players, and he plays a Macca formation. So he's probably a little bit disappointed on how it's gone so far, but I do think Anelka can be a very good signing. So get him firing, and it can turn around.
No, absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. Macca wouldn't have given me any numbers. He doesn't care that much. So I will go like that. So can I ask you for a score prediction for this one, please?
I can't look past Burn, but I don't think it's going to be a smashing. 2-1 Northern Burn.
Okay. 2-1 Northern Burn. Duff and Anelka involved early for Fulchester. Yellow card dished out as well. Plenty of blue and white text in the opening 20 minutes, which will please Macca, who I've just seen in the chat has predicted 5-0 Burn. Certainly isn't looking like 5-0 thus far. Another yellow card given.
Doing his old mind games.
Yeah, 100%. And Burn now starting to push on the accelerator themselves towards the end of the first half. And it would have been harsh, I think, if they'd have scored in those last few minutes. Macca could be quite pleased with that, can't he? He looked very much on top for the majority of that half.
Yeah, and it's not often you see that any team does that in 45 minutes away to Northern Burn. So you got to be happy with it, but you're gonna be hoping that the next chance that falls to Anelka or whoever it is goes in, because Northern Burn is gonna come stronger in the second half.
No, they absolutely are. And reaction coming in the chat for that. Ian, without even seeing it, has got as is. He's quite content that this 11 will turn it around. Mike Duff continues to excel, a 9 rating in the first half.
It's class.
Looking at Fulchester, the ratings maybe not representing the performance too much. Do you see Macca changing it, or will he be quite content?
He's never going to change anything at this stage. I think Just gotta hope to get a goal now, to convert one of those chances, and
One,
that hope that Montella stays quiet for another 45.
yeah, no, 100%. And there is the notification coming through that he too is going as is. So let's resume the action and see what the second half has to offer. Fulchester coming out like a train again. Absolutely dominated Bird at this stage. And as I say that, Ortega scores his 5th of the season and makes all that hard work worth absolutely nothing. They're looking to double their lead just before the hour. Fulchester level, it's a debut goal for Anelka. And that is no more than they deserve as we pause on the hour, one apiece. It looked harsh. It's very Northern Burn-like to do it, but it looked harsh. So maybe Mac will be thinking some justification that Anelka leveled up just before the break.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's, as you say, it's very Northern Burnish. They don't particularly. There's not often that they like dominate teams and win by 3 or 4 goals. At least not in this situation. But they've got that habit of winning close games. But this one can go either way. I think Fulchester has been really good here.
There was a couple of 9s in the Burn team. Ian's gone as is. Buffon and Roy Keane, so the big players standing up. Ronaldo doing the same for Fulchester, really is performing since being put back into the team today.
Yeah, I like Ronaldo. I think that guy is one of the managers that should get something out of him. So that's nice to see. I don't think he's going to make any change. No, I don't think so. Looking
Well,
at that
he
bench,
is.
Torres is a bit young. Donny, okay.
Donny coming on for Duff.
Yeah.
Is the
If you're
change
going to
for
play
Macca.
him, it's probably best to play him at left wing.
So let's see if just that slight tweak gives Macca enough impetus to go and get that winner. Lucio goes in the book. Burn really starting to play their football now. Fulchester come forward again. There's lots of yellow cards being dished out all of a sudden. This has turned into a scrappy affair. Frey couldn't hold on to it, and Montella scores his 10th of the season. And is that enough to wrap it up for Burn? They come forward looking for a third that really will see the game done. Since the goal, they've been the better side, the home team. I think that was 4 minutes being added on. There it is. Mike Duff settles the game for sure, and it's become 4. They have run riot in the last 15 minutes. That this game never ever looked like a 4-1 Burn win.
Well, that's Northern Burn for you, isn't it? You always have that feeling that they're gonna get back in it and win. I mean, 4-1 is a bad result, but I don't think Macca can be too disappointed about the performance. I think it was a good performance away from home.
I mean,
Buffon had a fantastic game as well. So
I'm looking at this reaction coming in. Ian Edwards saying robbery. Macca just saying no. Douglas saying someone's chucked in at least a 5 there for Fulchester. Steve saying joke that end. Fulchester deserves so much more. Mike saying harsh. And Tate saying very competent performance from Fulchester. Frey shambles. We normally do the home team first, but let's find out exactly what happened. Yeah, Frey's rating just plummeted to a 5. Igor Tudor as well, dropping to a 5. So it just they couldn't cope with the pressure from Northern Burn in the end.
it's playing BMC by himself, attempting 7 tackles, not winning one of them. That isn't going to end well. Apart from, I mean, they obviously fucked them over, but the team performance was there was something to build on for Fulchester there.
But for
Anelka scored a goal,
75 minutes,
they
it looked
competitive.
Yeah, for 75 minutes, it looked good.
Yeah.
Northern Burn, Mike Duff, look at these ratings. Buffon 9. You've got 8s for the 2 centre backs. Kandaya 9, Duff 10, Roy Keane 9, Ortega 9 as well. As many players as was almost possible just stood up to be counted for Burn in that second half and almost make a statement of intent for the second half of the season, didn't they?
Yeah, they're one of the teams going to go far. Fiore there with the legend, Northern Burn legend Fiore with the 6 amongst all the 8, 9s, and 10s. It's just beautiful to see.
Steve saying Frey's crap, in my opinion, won't change my mind. Mac is suggesting he's going to be dropped in the next game. Also saying it's a story of full Chester, this iteration, quite frankly. And Doug is saying, is there a team in the Super League that does that more often than Northern Burn, as in backed against the wall, still gets the result? Very, very impressive in the end for Burn. As you say, there are, despite it being 4-1, there are things for Macca to build on. But our Burn now starting to get into that point where they look scary and ominous coming towards the end of the season. Let's go to what historically, regardless of what the team names were, whether it was Devils and Football Monologue, whether it was Devils and Dragons or Exiles and Sancte, these games are always high on entertainment value and normally hotly contested. We're looking at the away side first, who have Michael Owen in for his debut, Harry Kuehl and Yap Stam as well, all coming in. I suggested on Limbs that with the additions they've had, yes, they've lost some talent. We know that. You have to speculate to accumulate, as they say. But with the additions they've got in and the strength they have all over the pitch now, they have to be one of the favourites for a top 6 spot this season.
Yeah, I actually I thought the same thing. I think they've strengthened on paper at least, even though they lost one of the best players in the league. I think Kuehl on that left wing, he's been playing two wing backs as wingers the whole season. I think if one of them is a attacking winger like Kuehl is, then it's going to give you a lot more going forward. And I also think Owen is going to do well if he gets a string of games.
Yep.
I'm still not quite sold on the trio and the at DMC there. If I was playing 3 DMCs, I would have a massive tackler in the middle and 2 players that can contribute with a little bit of a creative spark next to him. I don't think Ambrosini and Ndai is that. I think they're big tacklers, both of them as well. But yeah, I do think the deals they've done has made them stronger, and they've got some good depth as well. Jorgatos and Argel not even starting is a sign of a good squad.
I mentioned the other stream that Argel's one of the players of the season, and now he's just automatically going to get dropped because of the addition of Yap Stam.
Yeah, well, Argel has been great, and it's very, very nice to have a good centre back when we come to the business end, because you're going to have suspensions and injuries, but you're going to play up Stam.
You certainly are. Duggan wasn't precious about his squad numbers. I recall that in his submission, so that is done. As for Exiles, they are unleashing everyone. Vieri, Crespo, Figo, and Charlie Chaos all start today. They go to a more sort of familiar formation as well. Interesting. I thought Raul would be doing quite well as part of the striker line. Interesting that he drops back to accommodate Vieri and Crespo. What do you make of this version of Rox's Exiles? Are they actually going to start being entertaining?
Paper they should. I don't. Sometimes it just feels like the save decides which teams are going to be boring and which teams are going to score a lot of goals. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it's not always that a partnership of 2 big strikers work well. Certainly can. They did well for. Haggis had Van Nistelrooy and was it Vieri or Crespo?
Yeah.
Vieri last season, and they did really well, so it can work, but it's a bit of a bingo. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. He's got at least decent support behind them with Raul, Sorin, and Figo, so yeah, maybe.
No, absolutely. I can't see that Rox has asked for any particular numbers either. I'm sure he would have messaged in by now if he did, so we'll click through. There was all the talk about Vieri and Van Nistelrooy at Haggis, and did it work? Didn't it work? Do you think we'll have this same discussion with Crespo and Vieri?
I think either he starts scoring a lot of goals and it works, or he just keeps being boring and it doesn't work.
And a score prediction, please.
I think Exiles are going to take this 2-1.
Okay. Well, there is Ambrosini with the goal to open the scoring for the away side. Perhaps coming a little bit against the run of play. And now Melito has gone off injured. Fox saying it did work. Anyone who says it didn't is blind. Cordoba straight swap, you imagine?
I think Cordoba is better than Milito, so that's not necessarily a bad thing for Exiles, in my opinion.
Potentially making them stronger. We are past the half-hour mark. Still 1-0 to the away side. There's been plenty of purple text, but just maybe not clear-cut opportunities. Seeing Crespo and Vieri, and there's Figo. Oh, it's been ruled off. He was offside. Rox would have been seeing all the right names there, but it just wasn't quite happening for him.
I think it's pretty obvious that Exiles needs some transfers. They need to sign some more strikers, I think, because they're just firing blank.
Doug is saying that Exiles look miles better there, but it's his side that have the lead. Let's have a look at the home side first then. Do you think it's just a case of the players' names are all in the wrong place on the team sheet? They don't know what their jobs are?
Yeah, I tried to look at some stats here, but Costanzo is... I thought it was a midfielder with 5 touches and nothing else, but it was Costanzo in the middle of the list. So, yeah, it just confuses me. Figo is the only player taking shots. Now Vieri has one. Yeah, decent half from both sides. It can still go either way. But he's going to need Vieri or Crespo to start scoring goals.
Castroman is coming on at half-time for Sorin. Slightly more attacking change.
Yeah.
As for Sancte, looking at theirs, Yapstam not necessarily impressing just yet. Michael Owen, neither. Harry Kuehl, possibly the better of the new players.
Rostini has been channeling his inner real-life Zidane after I called him out for his lack of creativity.
I was going to say, you bemoan the lack of creativity, so Petit and Ambrosini have just decided to stick 2 fingers up at you.
Yeah, that's the Colcomb's curse.
Duggan is going as is. So let's resume the action and see what the second half of this hotly anticipated game. Well, nothing as we got to 60 minutes. Absolutely nothing was offered by either team.
I'll get Crespo out. Project Crespo is done.
Project Crespo done.
Get him off.
Does Luis Saha offer anything to this team that they don't already have, or do you expect Rox to go as is?
I expect him to go as is because Luis Saha isn't much better. Crespo is a weird one because it's Vieri as well. There's not many seasons they've been as good as they should be with how they look.
Tomasi and Santos forward, Raul to the left of a front 3. So we're going like this for the remainder of the game.
Has to be about us. Is this CM in Cintric or what the name is on Twitter? It's got to be something in it when you've got players like Carlos Jack scoring 18 goals a season and Vieri and Crespo can only get 4 or 5.
Sancte will be quite happy that absolutely nothing is going on in the second half. Do you foresee any changes within this team?
No.
So Campbell maybe a little bit low in condition. Would that be a consideration?
You don't sub Sol Campbell off when you're 1-0 up. He likes to take off players with the booking, but I don't really see any. Oh, he does.
It's Yapstam that's being withdrawn. In the only change.
Why in God's name does he do that?
Because Argel's been so good. Let's see if they are punished for that decision. Is the home side coming forward? And Sancte just trying to catch him on the counter now. Plenty of pressure it seems being put on by the home team. There's Michael Owen though, and Kieran Dyer. Sorry, Harry Kewell. I don't know why I said Kieran Dyer. Are we going to get late? Something is going to happen. You can feel it. You can sense it. Figo steps up, sends a free kick over the bar into injury time. And then it just ticks away and nothing happens. And another 1-goal Exiles game and another one that they've lost.
It was the massive 3 points for Sancte in the position they're at around the playoff line, and winning their away games is just massive. He's going to be buzzing with that, even though Exiles were probably edging it in terms of creating chances.
Looking
just
at
haven't found anything that clicks.
This is it. That all the parts are there, aren't they? It's just not quite happening.
No, and it's a player that's been going under the radar the whole season is actually Costanzo, because he's been very, very, very good.
Yeah, he's conceded, well, before this game, so he's now conceded 17 and 15. He was on a 764 rating before this game.
I don't think I've seen any 4s or 5s either from him this season. And that's, I mean, he always turns up with a 5 a couple of times a season. So he's been good. I mean, there's a lot of good players there. They just have to work on finding something that clicks.
Absolutely. Ambrosini continued his good form and ended up getting man of the match as the match winner. A couple of 6s in there. And Dye uncharacteristically rating a 6. Archie back as well on a 6. A couple of other notable performances from the likes of Petit and Oliver Kahn.
Yeah, it's a solid away performance without any of the attackers firing, and that's to win the game away from home. When your attackers has been pretty quiet, is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to Sancte, who take as you said, a valuable 3 points. We are skipping that one, so let's go to the next team down the list. East Coast versus Haggis. And the big question was, what would Haggis be altering their formation to accommodate their new players? The question was, they haven't. Del Vecchio is now partnering Van Nistelrooy up top. Veron plays in that AM role. Zenden, who I suggested might be the solution to their left wing problems, doesn't even make the squad. Perez takes that role. Everything else looks pretty familiar.
Yeah, I think Veron is also one of them that's not always delivering brilliant average ratings and a lot of assists and goals, but it's just one of them that I think if you have him on the pitch, it automatically makes your team stronger. It's actually been playing pretty well this save. And with Haggis' form, that centre-back partnership and Veron in there as well, for me, it's hard to look past them if you want to point out a favorite for the trophy. Okay. Haggis is going to be my favorite because I think their 11 is rock solid.
Let's make Veron 10. As for East Coast, who possibly are the team who gave me numbers, so if Dimble's in the chat, it'd be good for him to confirm that for me. They have obviously Ronaldinho making his debut, and he partners Stanic with Shevchenko taking the armband and playing up top on his own. Solari comes in. There was the big news about Zanetti, pretty much out for the rest of the season, but Zauri is a more than able replacement coming in through the transfer window, and the rest of the team pretty much as was.
And even though I said Sancte got stronger from the deal they made with Dimble, I'm not sure East Coast has gotten any weaker either. I think having Ronaldinho in there, which also makes him be able to play Shevchenko as a 1 up top, I think that's going to benefit him a lot. I think if he had Zanetti not injured and he played on that right wing and Sorry on that left wing, it would look even stronger. It's a really good side, and I expect them to be in the top 6 come the end of the season as well.
I agree. I can't have Ronaldinho wearing 6. That would be outrageous. Right, a score prediction then. This is a sort of titanic tussle in the Super League, this one.
It's a hard one. Haggis is the form team, but I think a score draw, I think 1-1 would,
Okay.
and both
I think
managers would be pretty satisfied with that, I think.
not just both managers. I think a lot of the surrounding managers would be quite pleased with that as well.
Take a draw here, me.
Dimble agreeing with my choice not to let Ronaldinho wear 6 and giving him 11. He's just put in the chat, 11 is way better. Cheers. Oh, dear me. 34 minutes gone. I would say Coast looked to me to be edging it slightly, but not a great deal in it. And we get to half time at 0-0. And when you look at the ratings, particularly the first two on the screen, shots and on target, understandable why it's 0-0.
Yeah, it's a classic case of two top teams canceling each other out, I think. It's going to be, I mean, the team that gets the first goal here is going to be hard to, they're going to win, I think.
Yeah, no, I can understand that logic. Looking at the home side's ratings first, it's decent without being spectacular. Kovalchuk continues to be Coast's best player. Obviously, all the eyes will be on Ronaldinho. He's only getting slightly over 50% in terms of his passing, 50% in terms of his heading. No shots. Not really contributing too much yet in his new team colours.
Oh, I mean, he can pop up at any time. I think the thing with East Coast and Dimble's teams has often been that he's not necessarily had so many players with high average ratings and a lot of assists and goals, but it just rock solid teams that's hard to break down.
Clicking over to Haggis, it just looks very, very average. If all the eyes of one side were on Ronaldinho, all the eyes of the other are on Veron. Interesting, really. His stats, to me, maybe look slightly better. He's only rating a 6.
Yeah. Probably going to go up to a 7 quite soon enough. Ibrahim Said is playing well there.
Delvecchio and Van Nistelrooy just not getting the service tonight.
No, and Dimble will be hoping to keep it that way.
Absolutely.
I can't see him, except for a swap striker positions change. I can't see him do much here.
And that's exactly what we've got come through. Swap the strikers and go to 60. So that is what we will do. Thank you very much. Let's see if the second half offers much, much more in the way of entertainment than that boring first half did. Do seem to be getting a little bit more as we approach the hour mark. And, good timing. Carlos Jacques goes off injured. He'd been having a poor game as it was anyway. But yeah, Jacques off on the hour, injured. Again, maybe not quite to the same level as the Vieira one earlier, but this is a huge loss for Haggis because Jacques has been good.
Yeah, and he's one of them that can always contribute with a goal or assist. For this game, I think it's not a big loss because he's on the 5 and he would probably be subbed off anyways. I'm assuming he brings Robert on. Yeah, and just swap Pires over.
Nicolai, the sub-striker, does he maybe come on for Delvecchio? Or could you see a situation where maybe one of those DMs is replaced by Veron in the position that he's been playing so well for about a season and a half? Delvecchio drops back to where he's most dangerous, and then we get a proper striker up there?
Yeah, possibly. It's not a bad shout, to be honest.
Yes, Ian, we are doing the 60s as well at this point, please. And he wants to see the ratings again. So we know the first change is, as we described it, Laurent Robert on swap with Pires. So that kind of keeps it balanced.
I think we'll go for Nicolai and do the swaps that you suggested there. Could be a good choice.
Yeah. Kind of Veron in that. I described it as like a quarterback role when you've got an AM playing in that DM with an arrow position. Obviously, the away for the Super League, it's the Super Bowl tonight. Are you into your American football at all, Jens?
Not at all. No. I tried a couple of years in my youth, but I always fell asleep shortly after it started, and I'm not interested at all.
No, much the same. I do try and to show some willing. I do try and stay up for the halftime show, which I believe is Usher this year. But no, I just don't understand the game at all.
Back to the 90s, Usher.
So it is as we described. So Nicolai comes on for Guigu, Veron drops back, Del Vecchio drops back. Could that work for Haggis, do you think?
Did he say he wanted Nicolai on the left, I think?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I think it's a maverick choice bringing Veron down there, but I think it can work, definitely. And Nicolai looks really good as well.
Yeah, he's got some decent stats there, and he's got 3 and 2 for the reserves this season. As for East Coast,
exciting now. The last 30 minutes going to be very, very important for both teams here.
Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, this is the sort of game where it's not just these two teams. There's so many teams above and below them that are looking at this result. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen the "I'll take a draw here" message yet in the chat.
That's because I'm not in the chat today. And Tato doesn't give a fuck because he's going to quit anyways.
Yeah, you're quite possibly true. Although he's still working hard to get David Beckham, as we found out. Alf suggesting that baseball is worse to watch.
Yeah, I trust you, Alf.
Can't say I've ever sat through a baseball game.
Me neither. But anything Mr. Bridge says, I'm going to trust it.
Yeah. Dimble saying keep the faith. Although there is the Moneyball film, which I sat through. That's really good, which is about baseball. I really enjoy that film.
Yeah. Me too.
Some classic quotes in there as well. There's Veron getting involved already, looking more lively in that position. 76 now on the clock. And we're into the dying moments, and we're just starting to see some of the big names really get involved. 2 minutes only being added on. There's Ronaldinho, but Cannavaro gets in the way. Kovalchuk, sorry, Ronaldinho! But he puts his header over the bar. And here come the home side again, and Ronaldinho really looking to impress the Zawi. Stanic smashes it low, hits the post, Shevchenko! And it's a fine save. And somehow Coast don't score there. Are they going to get it here? Last minute of normal time. And a fine save from Ronaldinho. One last chance, maybe. Say Del Vecchio. Counter-attack football. Juliano could be in trouble. Yellow card. Free kick to Haggis. Alternate with the save. There was drama, but there was no goals. And it might not have been a classic for best part of 70 minutes, but that last 20 minutes was two of the best teams in the league really throwing everything they had at it. Haggis.
Cuenca is,
wow.
Yeah, Cuenca is on a 10 here, I think. He had 3 or 4 massive saves those last 20 minutes.
Mike said, I'll take a draw here. Tato say, decent little result that, innit? Yeah, Coast, you saw Ronaldinho and Shevchenko and people hitting the post. It did look like Coast were throwing everything they had at it.
And they'll be disappointed because that was a hell of a finish to the match.
Alf saying that's a good result for the Vikings in the chat. Dibble saying good performance. And it certainly was maybe not quite the levels they usually get to. You normally see a few more 8s and maybe even a 9 in there, but solid enough performance from East Coast against a decent opposition.
I think the reason they didn't win is going to be the Haggis goalkeeper.
It's going to be who's likely to got man of the match. Yeah, let's click over. Yeah, there he is. Look at him with his 9 rating. The standout performer. Not discrediting Cannavaro at all, who put in a couple of mammoth blocks at the end there as well. But yeah, Cuenca doing superb for Haggis tonight.
And to the entire iteration, I think a goalkeeper I didn't know about before they signed him, and it's just been really, really good.
Yeah, he's now conceded 9 in 15.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Campbell is gonna be happy with that, getting a point away from a tough game like that when East Coast put the pressure on.
Yeah, no, superb. And food for thought, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. Veron's rating stayed at the 6, but he's looked a lot more involved when he was in that restricted position. So will Ian alter it and move him back down the pitch Del Vecchio as well. I'm just looking at his levels, and they certainly seem to increase when he went back into his more familiar AM position. So could it be that both of them drop back and Van Nistelrooy gets a different strike partner? Maybe not so much Nicolay, who didn't do much in his half an hour on the pitch, but maybe just someone else partnering Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
Next, we go to two of the former Steerco runners of the Super League. It's Badgers versus Dudley Hill. A Badgers team without Okoronkwo and Butt both suspended at the same time. Means that they line up like this. Neil Lennon's been promoted from the reserves to get a place on the bench. Klompe and Valgarin in front of Toldo. Live Simeone either side of Skipper Desai. It's Agahawa on the right-hand side this time. Giggs, of course, on the left, with Nikius Ferenko in his familiar position supporting Saviola and Rossini.
Yeah, it's once again a really, really good side. A little bit of the same as with Sancte. I've been thinking that maybe you don't have to play 3 tacklers in the MC at the same time. I think they've been playing Desai, Simeone, and Butt. I actually think Ashley Lyde should be performing really, really well in this formation, in that position. I think that's just made up for him. And it's just, I mean, if Giggs has a good day, he's going to score goals, and he's not going to concede a lot. So it's a team you can always count on taking enough points to end up in the top 6.
And of course, I'm just looking at this here. So they've seen Haggis get a point. They've seen Byrne win. They've seen Sancte win. So they can't really afford to drop points here, can they, Badgers?
A defeat would be not so good, but a point would keep them in the 6. East Coast didn't win. Foss Road didn't win. So... but yeah, at home to Dudley Hill in a little bit of a shaky form, he's gonna expect to win, I think.
Yeah. Let's have a look at Dudley Hill then.
Will you talk through them while I just grab a beer, mate?
Yeah, no worries. So some interesting selections from Stee here as he alters the tactic again. New signing Frank de Boer starts straight away. His brother Ronald is recalled from the reserves and goes into the lineup for his first appearance of the season. New signings Constantinu and Keane both start as well, with Marcelo Salas on the bench. Dede Contra, who in theory could be one of the best wing-back partnerships in the division, continue to play. Although not always the case. Dede 10 and Contra 13. So it is the typical selection when available. Stee normally isn't precious. I will just give him 10 seconds if he wants to. But yes, so we've got the De Boer brothers both playing tonight, Jens.
All playing as well. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, both starting.
Yeah. He's got some... it feels like he always pops up with some random name that he wants to try out in the Super League, and it feels like it never works. It was Magne Holset last time out. It's been that Monterras or whatever. It's always some weird names he's trying to play in the Super League, but it usually doesn't work. Let's see how it goes tonight. He changed formation, didn't he?
He has, yes. So just for your benefit, as you were away, that this is the tactic we're going for, including the cheeky little Diag arrow on Cole.
I like that Diag arrow, and I like that it's one less team with 3 hard tackling DMCs in the middle. So well done, Steve.
A score prediction, please.
2-1 Badgers.
2-1 to Badgers. And there's the first. Saviola with his 5th of the season, giving the home side the lead. Tato saying there, best formation for Steve, this one. Wing backs where they should be. And there's a red card, and it is Agahawa that has been sent off. Well. It was all going so well for Badgers. They don't have a natural right winger on the bench. So what do you foresee happening here, Jens?
Just drop Sticky Forenko back to that right midfield. That's not optimal, but I can't see any other. There's no one else there that can play that position, is there?
And would you drop one of the strikers back, or would you keep it as a front two?
I think I don't know. I think you keep it as a front two.
He is keeping it as a front two. So there is the change. Of course, Steve gets the option to change it should he so wish. I can't imagine him. Agahau as the
Bring
man
Ronald
who
de
comes in.
Burov.
I can't
Bring
imagine
Ronald de
Steve.
Burov now, for God's sake. There's no point in waiting.
Get Salas on. Goes to front two.
Yeah.
Al suggesting that Tato could have gone narrow with Giggs in MC. Steve is going as is, unsurprising, really. Let's see if the extra man can help them get back into it. Oh, well, there you go. Robbie Keane's instantly been sent off. Oh, dear.
Thank God I got rid of that prick.
Wow. Okay. So potentially, and this would be possibly seen as counterproductive given the red, but could you see Cole moving into this position, keeping it as a 2 and just Van Bommel central?
I think looking at that, I would just I'd bring someone on for Ronald de Boer. And that's it.
What about Frank? Does he get to stay on?
I think he's gonna stay. He's gonna stay as is, I think. An AMC hero there is not. That's not the worst place to lose a player, I think.
He's going to Boer central with no arrow.
Okay.
Let's see if we can play more than a minute without more. And then Badgers go 2 up. Saviola on 30 minutes. Dudley need one before half-time to make a game of it, you feel? And there is half-time. 2-0 to the home side. You said it was going to be 2-1. So you must be confident that your prediction might come in right, although Dudley aren't really offering too much.
No, I was going to say it felt really Badgers. It felt like Badgers were in total control there. You can actually see them get 1 or 2 more in the second half if Steve doesn't change something in halftime.
Simeone, in particular, impressing in that first half. Just looking at some of the other ratings, Giggs doing well. Saviola obviously getting the brace. Nicky Forenko still rated quite high despite being moved to an unfancy position.
Yeah, he had an assist there. Otherwise, he's played 8 passes and 1 headers. But yeah, he's got the assist. It just looks really solid. I can't see them dropping points now. Looking at that.
As for Dudley, Abiati thrown in a 5. Keane got sent off on a 5. Joe Cole's on a 5. There's a whole lot of 6s. There's not much of any positivity for Dudley Hill there. It's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, it has, and that can happen when you try and change things up. It's hard to stick with it for the next game again. But I think here, if he wants to have a hope of getting anything, he has to do something.
Well, what he is doing is bringing Joe Cole off and bringing on Hersey.
Keeps the ball on the. Will you click on Salas? Because Salas looks very, very good in my opinion. I mean, he's going to score goals if he gets a string of games. Ronald de Boer isn't going to do shit.
I mean, poor Ronald de Boer is just there trying to do his job, and you'd be shitting on him for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I like Steve. I want him to do well.
Steve suggested he can't look that good, Jens, if you've let him go.
But you're never going to play if Henry is best Henry ever.
Let's resume the action and see if that substitution can get Dudley back into this game. Or will Badgers, as is suspected, continue the dominance? We've got to an hour. There's been no additional goals, but there's been no real stemming of the tide either.
For Tato here is just crack on. they're in total control. No need to change anything. That works.
No, I would agree. They're cruising at this moment, really, with Dudley not really offering anything. I'll just go back to the match ratings. Oh no, he is. Let's bring Larson on up top with Rossini. Why not? So Saviola being dragged on 2 goals.
Oh, for Rossini.
For
So
Rossini.
he's
Sorry, yeah.
taking
Let me read it properly.
off. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Probably not going to change anything.
As for Dudley, still got 5s. Frank de Boer's on a 5. Ronald de Boer on his 6. Marcelo Salas desperately waiting to come on.
All commentators curse not kicking in this game. The team, the players have let him down.
Duggan suggesting that the gap's opening up in that top 6 or 7 and the rest now. A little bit earlier than normal than the last few seasons, if that gap is starting to appear.
Yeah, usually. And I mean, if there's a gap, it's going to be closed again. I feel it's always tight. There's always 2 teams or so that runs a little bit away, and there's 6, 7, 8 teams fighting for the 4 last spots every single season. It's like that.
Constantinu taken off on the hour mark, and Salas is going to get a 30-minute run out for his new club. Let's see if he can have an impression on the game. Seen a bit more yellow and blue text, to be fair. And there is Salas on his debut. Oh, just as they thought. Rustico now goes off injured, which means Malevski is a straight swap. I'm not even going to wait for Steve for that one. But yes, Salas has pulled one back. Could we be in for an entertaining last 20 minutes, Jens? No. No is the answer. As Saviola gets his hat trick. Larson tries to score just as his manager calls him a gimp. Costing me the game. A Saviola hat trick sees Badgers get a well-earned 3 points tonight.
Yeah, it was always going to be hard for Dudley away to Badgers, and with that many players letting him down, he was never going to get a point. Yeah,
it was definitely a difference of performance between the 2 teams. I mean, you've got Saviola there at one end of the pitch on a 9, Klompe at the other end on a 9, and lots of 8s throughout with just a couple of 7s. Yeah. That's as good as it gets for Badgers, really.
Yeah, it's a massive performance. The Klompe is behind Walter Samuel is the best centre back in the league, in my opinion, and he's got Saviola scoring goals as well. It looks good for the Badgers, I think.
So yeah, he got 4 in. He's got 4 in 13, so that's now 7 in 14. So scoring 1 in 2 now, thanks to that hat trick. So that certainly looks a lot better, doesn't it? Yeah, that's just rancid for Dudley Hill, isn't it?
Yeah, except for Salas, of course. Tried to single-handedly change the outcome of the game, showing the middle finger up to his new manager, looking that good and not being picked ahead of Ronald de Boer. So hopefully Salas starts next game, and Dudley will. Except if they play Vikings, I hope Salas doesn't play. But if they play anyone else, I hope he comes to his senses and plays Salas and drops the Boer brothers.
We are on to our penultimate game, and it is Stanley versus LSK. Now, if Mike's about, I am going to double check, but I didn't see. I thought there was a post about it, but I didn't actually get any official team submission from him, which surprised me with João Pinto on the orange injury. Let me just double check the DM messages, because I did drop him one earlier to say.
Didn't he play someone with the orange injury earlier as well?
He did, but there was also talk about Zanoni coming in because the board found him invaluable. But yeah, Mike, there was no DM from you this week about a team submission. He is questioning that comment. I did see, I saw him post about Zanoni coming in, and I'm sure he was coming in this CMAC position. But other than that, I didn't actually get a team submission from him. So if you're there, Steve saying Ronald is elite on home saves.
Byron Bob is also elite on the home save. This isn't a home save, mate. You know that very well.
And here it is now. So, Vesterveld, Brown. So you want them two swapping round. I'm only doing this because I know you would have submitted it. So Jamie will have seen this team and know what he's up against. David Scally. Both the midfielders change. So it's now Seedorf and Zanoni. Deisler into that role. And Maxim up top. And then Schmeichel, Gary, Juninho and Mido. Sub 3. There we go. So that is the team.
Really good, in my opinion. Very solid. Looks better than it was before you made the changes.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, people say that it's a team that everyone predicted to be around the bottom, and I'm sure a lot of people did. But if you look at that 11 and the tactic they put out, it's it's going to be hard to break down. They're not going to concede a lot of goals, and they've got Sigalko up front, so could go really, really well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Could this be the making of Seedorf? Are we finally going to get a manager to get numbers out of him?
Didn't someone get very good numbers out of him once? Was it Maka?
If anyone did, it would have been Maka.
Yeah, I think it's possible, and I think he has to play in the midfield too. I think he's a good player.
LSK make one change. Aymar comes in for Bergkamp. Everything else remains the same.
Yeah. It's a good-looking team. It doesn't seem to work, but it should work better on paper than it has been. Not sold on the DMCs, not sold on Guerrero as first choice. Aymar hasn't done enough, but they should have taken more points than they had, and I'm sure they're going to start picking up some points now come the final end of the season.
Okay, so for the final time tonight, then, can I ask you for a score prediction, please?
I think Los Santos gets a point there.
Okay.
1-1. Again, I say 1-1 every time, I think.
If you say something enough times, eventually you'll be right.
Exactly.
Tater suggesting he's got a world-class DMC coming in soon, as Jamie. And there's Pizarro opening the scoring for the away side. Approaching half-time. Can the home side level up before the break? The answer is no. So Stanley edging it just, but not exactly a classic this first half.
Oh, it's two teams with 4 DMCs and 2 people in the middle of the park in front of them, so it's going to be not a lot of chances.
No, 100%. A couple of decent performances, notably Edgar Davids and Roberto Carlos. Couple of 6s dotted in there as well. Debutant Seedorf, Deisler's not doing much, and therefore Sigalko isn't getting the supply. Juninho and Mido on the bench, so opportunities to freshen that up if Mike decides to go for it.
I mean, we both like Mido.
We do.
I think maybe that's like the main weakness in that Stanley squad is that when they're chasing the game, there's not a lot of things they can do from the bench or tactically. I think they're much better set up to defend. But yeah, Mido can do well. So there's an option there.
Mike's saying swap Deisler and Seedorf, and that'll be it till 60. Do you understand that change?
Yeah, maybe.
As for LSK, pretty similar reading, really. Lizarazu, and as usual, Barthez standing out, but a few 7s and a few 6s also.
Yeah, I mean, those DMCs again, you need to have one big tackler that just gives you 7s or 8s every single game. and he doesn't seem to have that. Kalushny can be decent, but he's a bit of a hothead. And Van Bronckhorst, I had him last season in the start as well, and he just didn't do anything for me. I think you're gonna have to play him as a wing back like you did to get
Yeah.
something really good out of him. I don't think he's a tackler. I don't think he's a presence. So I think that's If he's got a good DMC coming in, I think that's the right move. I think that's what the squad needs.
I've not seen Jamie around, so let's just carry on to 60, and it's Jana Cheddar that's going into LSK.
Decent enough.
We've reached an hour. Absolutely nothing happened at all. What do Rose do here to get back in the game? Is it Mido time?
You're gonna need to bring Mido on, the Egyptian prince. I'd probably drop Deisler, I think.
Super League winner, of course.
Super League winner and
scored in the final.
Super League grand final runner-up for me as well. Played a lot for me that season. It was really good.
He was superb for you that season.
Yeah, mostly as a super sub, but he played and as a striker, as AMC. Mido is he can do well if he gets played, I think.
For me, if I'm looking at this, I would maybe suggest Mido for Deisler, go 2 AMs, and then rotate the midfielders and put Zanoni and Scally in the DM roles and David centre mid on his own.
Yeah, definitely. Or just play Scally by himself in there and bring Davids up.
Yeah,
I think Davids is one of those that can offer you a lot in central midfield, like Vieira as well. If you got a good player behind him, maybe he can offer even more to the team playing in midfield.
Yeah, no, absolutely. While we wait for confirmation from Mike, again, I don't think Jamie's around. What would you be doing in this situation? 1 goal up away from home?
I don't think there's a lot to be done there. Look at his bench. Pizarro scored a goal, so you don't want to drag him. Aymar is his best player, so you're not going to drag him. Lysans isn't good enough season 2, in my opinion, so I just stick with it and hope that they can run the game out.
Well, Mike's going as is, so we will continue the game and see if... there's your answer. Kalushny with his first goal for Los Santos makes it 2-0 to the away side. Are Stanley tonight's big losers with everyone else in the top 6 seemingly doing so well? And Mike's saying this is more of a review required, I think. So that's big at the bottom of the league. We saw Stackington earlier, LSK picking up points as well. Mike's saying not sure what's happened with this lot. Doug has said I'd have Davids and CM over anyone else in the league. He's ridiculous. Tato simply saying oof. But massive points for LSK tonight.
Massive for them. I mean, when you've been down at the bottom so long and you try different things, and when you finally win a game, it's proof that you're doing something right. You're onto something. So it's going to be really, really good for him when he sees it back. For Mike, it's a bit of a blow. Looking at the remaining games or the upcoming games, I'm sure this was one he counted on getting the 3 points. So back to the drawing board.
He's just saying there, up on stats and a loss sounds awfully familiar. It was Deisler and Seedorf who weren't getting their ratings up. Obviously, we don't know what goes on in each individual manager's psyche, but I find it fascinating that there's a real reluctance, for example, to bring Mido off the bench or Juninho in this situation. You're losing to bottom of the league. They're not performing, and yet you're not trusting these players to have an impact. Perhaps there is still considerable work to be done at Stanley.
I find it a bit weird myself because when you need goals, you've got a player. I mean, you don't have to play 2 up front. You can play Mido behind Sigalko as well.
Mm-hmm. Fabian Barthez picking up what will be his 6th Man of the Match award.
He's a fucking monster.
Absolutely outrageous from him this
I
season.
think we almost in that. Maybe it's time to have the discussion: is he actually the best player in the league?
Yes,
He's
yeah, that's
constantly averaging above 8 every single season. It's just a fucking wall.
the consistency throughout seasons and iterations is unreal from Bartes.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our last game of the night. And we are talking about your side. You host Sloths. So, as we saw at the start, you are 5 without a loss. They are 8 without a loss. Surely something has to give here, or it's going to be a draw. You have opted to bring Brujic straight into the 11. He plays behind Henri. Emerson being available again sees you swap up the midfield a little bit. Nedved moves back over to the left with Emerson coming in. But that trusted DM line and centre-back line keeps as it is.
First time in a long while we've had all our starters available, so it was actually a bit hard to decide who's going to start, who's not going to start. Simkoviak has been great, but I think he's a good player to have on the bench. Brosek has been a little bit up and down, but I love Brosek, but he's dropped tonight. Brujink looks good. Alf's Narrow has been fantastic, but I'm confident that I have, wing backs that can cause him, can exploit the space out wide. Just give him number 15, please, mate. Main thing is we don't want to lose, and we don't want Jeremy's and Cafu to be booked, because then whoever we play next, they're going to have a field day with us.
Alf keeps the narrow. He mixes it up a little bit. The defensive portion of it remains the same. Rivaldo comes in for his debut next to skipper Holland and Zinedine Zidane. Adilson drops back from striker to AM with Oliveira and Etzeberria outside of him. And fit again, Emil and Penza comes straight back in up top. Thomas Rosicki could make his debut from the bench.
Yeah, they're in great form, so it's going to be a tough test.
Let's go straight into the action then. Last game of the night. As is customary, I won't ask you for a prediction. I will just wish you and Alf the very best of luck in the headline fixture of game week 15, Vikings against Sloths. Will it be the league leaders or the informed side? And Arnold Brujic on his debut is not messing around, open to scoring for the league leaders. Instant gratification for that signing. He is a man who does well when the team is doing well. I won't forget the scary form he was in at East Coast when they were swatting everyone before them. Half an hour played, still 1-0 to Vikings. Sloths have had a few forays forward though. So won't consider them out of it yet, but they might be if Henri had converted that one. And it's a red card for Matt Holland, the ever-reliable captain, sent off for a second bookable offence. Jens, let's bring you back in just before halftime. That's a big help for you, isn't it? I mean, people do mock and scoff at Matt Holland, but he's actually he's a steady performer for this Sloths team, so it's going to be huge for them and huge for you that he's now missing for the second half.
He's a good player. He's a proper Alf Bridge player, isn't he? I mean, he's captain. He's like his second son, or I mean, I just envision him as Alf's guy in the dressing room.
Yes.
And it's a big loss for them. But as I said before, a sending off can also have positive effects on your team. And I think Slots have looked dangerous here. So,
with it being a red card, would you like to change anything?
No. Just play to halftime, please.
Okay. Well, there is the halftime whistle, and it's been even. Sloths have had opportunities, but you're the side that have taken them.
Yeah, as I said, I think they looked good and threatening, and we never look really, really solid playing at home. I think there's always open games when we play at home. We're better away from home, so we need to stay on our toes. Hopefully, grab a second one to calm me a little bit down.
Ratings don't look too clever from a Sloth's perspective. Plenty of work needed to do to improve this. Trezeguet, Rosicky on the bench. There are options there as well for Sloths to change it up.
Yeah, there are, and there's a lot of many attacking players in there. So there's definitely players that can create and score goals.
Yeah, and as for yourself, the ratings looking considerably better, and no real fitness issues. Well, no fitness issues at all there, and having the man advantage. I predict that you're going to go as is.
Yeah, we'll stick as is till 60, please, mate.
No problem. Just wait for confirmation from Alf. And it would appear, if anyone's interested, Ivory Coast have won AFCON.
They did?
They did?
Wasn't it Ivory Coast that were sacked the coach in the group stage because they thought they were eliminated?
I think so, yeah. Yes, I think it was.
AFCON is just incredible.
It's just
I haven't watched a lot, but I watched some games and it's so much fun. I mean, you can have world stars from the biggest clubs in Europe, and they've just been pocketed by center backs playing in the 4th Greek division. Is insane.
Oh, come on, Alf. For those of you who are say called themselves the zombies.
The zombies. Fantastic.
As this is the last game, for any of you that are interested in American sports, let's have your Super Bowl predictions in as well. Alf, I'm presuming you're going to stick as is again. This is separate to your red card as is. We're just waiting confirmation of a halftime change. He's saying he posted.
This is a bit disrespectful. I'm an hour after you guys. Come on,
I think he's confused between his red card and his half time because I've got the red card one, but he said he's posted, so I'm going that he's gone as is. 57. Oh fucking hell! Then all the time went past, so we paused it on 70, and you're still a goal to the good.
Yeah, but it doesn't look really. We're not playing really well. Can we bring? Can I see the ratings again, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Can we bring Simkoviak on for Nedved, please?
You certainly can.
And also Kalatse for Paredes.
No problem at all. Alf, this is a fresh one again. So if you can just confirm what you'd like to do, please. We're on 70 minutes. You're a goal down to the league leaders. You've got a couple of sixes. You're a man down. Nobody below 84% as far as I can see. Sixes for Ericado and Oliveira and Amin and Penza. Thomas Rosicky on the bench waiting to make his debut. David Trezeguet waiting to be given a fair crack. Let's see what do you expect Alf to do here?
Probably expect him to bring Rosicky on at least if he's a new signing.
Which he's doing.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Trezeguet. I mean, you'd want Penza to play, wouldn't you? Because you know he's always capable of giving you a goal. So.
Interestingly, Adilson scored in the last game, if I remember rightly. So they could go to a front three if they really wanted to chase it.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting confirmation if that's the only change. I think it might be. But I'll just give Alf 20 odd seconds to confirm. If not, we'll play on. 20 minutes to go. You said that although nothing's happening, you're not playing that well. How confident are you feeling?
Not super confident. I mean, I'm not surprised if Slots gets a goal back.
Okay. Well, we are back in the action, and there's plenty of blue and red text. Henri, Brujink all getting involved. Zidane now on the counter for the away side. Rivaldo goes in the book. Will something happen late in the final game of the night? 2 minutes only being added on. Here come the home side again. They get a corner. Adilson cuts it out there. Into injury time. Cafu. Still Cafu. Throw in. And now Brujink. Save. Lets it run free, but it's picked up and cleared. It's a throw in. And here come the home side again. It's Baumer. Brujink. So close. But that'll be it. And another win. Another 3 points chalked up for the league leaders. And it looked fairly comfortable, Jens.
It didn't feel, but maybe it looked comfortable. Well played, Alf. That sending off probably done you a bit there. I couldn't complain if it was a draw. I don't think we played really well. Decent ratings. We're really, really good defensively this season. I mean, that centre-back partnership I brought in with those two DMCs in front of them has been just brilliant. But this is the second game in a row Henry isn't scoring, and that's a bit of a concern because we're going to need his goals going forwards. But 3 points is 3 points, and we're very happy with that. And well played, Alf.
The thing that instantly jumped out to me with all the talk of Alf's resurgence, Cafu getting man of the match, but Baumer also getting a 9. You're the first team to really use that width. Do you think it's as much to do with 10 men?
No, but as I said at the start of the show, at the start of the game, Cafu is he never lets me down. He's just fantastic, and Baumer's also been really, really good this season. So I was expecting us to exploit some space out wide.
Taribo West was impressive for Sloths. Lefropoulos put in a few good saves as well, but it just wasn't to be on the night. Sadly for Alf's men, probably hindered, as you said, by the red card. But you must be pleased to see that a team that were in such good form, you've managed to restrict them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy with the 3 points, and Jeremies and Cafu avoided the booking as well. So all positives.
That brings us to the conclusion. Let's go through the classifieds. Badgers 3, Dudley Hill 1, East Coast and Haggis 0-0, Exiles 0, Sancte 1, Burn 4, Fulchester 1, Stackington 2, Foss Road 1, Stanley 0, Los Santos 2, and Vikings 1, Sloths 0. At least the league table looking like this. Vikings top 33. They have a 5-point gap to Northern Burn in second on 28, Haggis 27, Badgers 25, Sancte 24, and Stanley 22 make up the top 6 below the dotted line. East Coast 21, Foss Road 20, Sloths 19, Dudley Hill 18, and Exile 17. So very, very, very tight. And then there's a 3-point gap. Fulchester 12 and 14, a point ahead of Stackington in 13th on 13, and then Los Santos, huge win for them tonight, taking their still bottom, still 4 points adrift, but on 9. Mike saying, unhappy tonight, but great show. Thank you very much. The fixtures for Thursday. Go on, sorry.
No, I'm just saying, I think if you're Fulchester or below, I think it's going to be really, really, really hard to string a run of games together good enough to make the top 6. I think there's 8 games left. It's starting to look almost impossible for the
10 games left. Bottom. 10 games left.
10 games left. Yeah, anyways, I think there's 8 points up. That's a big job. Haggis away, for fuck's sake.
On Thursday night, yes, that's the big game. Haggis versus Vikings in the middle there. We've got Dudley Hill, Stackington, Foss Road, Stanley, Fulchester Badgers, LSK Exiles, Sancte versus Coast, could be a classic as well, and Sloths versus Burn. Alf saying, why do we play all the top teams? Well, mainly because there's not that many teams in the league, Alf. So you're always likely to play one of the top 6 at any given time. That will be on Thursday night. If you'd like to do comms, please do let me know. And while I just click through this, Mike Duff now top of the average ratings alongside Cafu. The right wing backs absolutely destroying it. Final words from you, Jens?
Thanks for having me, and thanks for putting up shows for us twice a week. It's, as I said to you before we before we started. It's there's a lot of things going on in my life as well. So to have those 2-3 hours a week deep diving into the alternate reality of Super League is actually quite important. So thank you a lot for just putting it on for us.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Always a pleasure having you on comms. If you'd like to follow in Jens' footsteps, as I said, let me know for Thursday night. Packs will be out hopefully tomorrow. If not, they will certainly be out on Tuesday. And Tater, lovely having you on again, Jens. And thanks as always for providing entertainment. Fyfie. You're very welcome. From Jens and myself at Super League HQ, good night.